back to the channel and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be reconnecting with Jason. Now, me and Jason met when he decided to interview for a spot that we had on the AI team at Rocket Mortgage, and I got lucky enough to actually interview him, I think twice, uh, in the same round, not two different times. And so while we were working at Rocket, bringing AI into a company that really didn't have a lot of AI, and before all of the ChatGPT LLM craze, we got to work on some really exciting stuff with machine learning, with AI chatbots, and basically the start of what would become virtual assistants. And so in this video, this is just us reconnecting. We've both moved on from Rocket since then, and Jason's now in a leadership role doing QA full time. And so this is just us kind of catching up on personal and professional updates. I thought you might want to be a fly on the wall for this conversation. It's not supposed to be a formal interview or anything like that, but I did think that parts of this were pretty entertaining. And so, yeah, sit down, grab a drink, and enjoy this conversation with Jason. What the heck's been going on? Like, I feel like we haven't talked in a couple months. Like, we both worked at Rocket for 4 or 5 years together.
5 years, yeah.
5 years together, and of course
Yeah.
we were building Rocket Assist or Live, the chatbot that lives on all of their digital properties and helps clients pretty much every day. Um,
Mhm.
I was obviously leading a lot of the technical stuff, and then you were leading a lot of the QA and the testing and all that stuff.
That's
Um,
right.
what has changed? Like, where are you at now? What are you doing now?
Yeah, I mean, my current role is very, very different from what I used to do, right? I was more of a contributor role. Now I'm a manager for it's a small team, but it's we do a lot. We have like 90 different applications that we support
Oh wow.
uh, and then it's a true IT department, right? We service not only applications but servers and upgrading operating systems, phones, you name it. It's there, and we have to test all of that. So it's a very different, broad IT perspective, but mainly my team practices quality engineering for applications. The quality engineering is to validate the vision of our designers and the product of our business partners, like what they want to solve their issues. So we have robust test scenarios and whatnot, but we also do, so we now validate all of our functional behavior through automation.
I'm also really curious, like, what does your day or week look like? We talked a little bit about like how we did iterations at Rocket. Do you still
Yeah,
do iterations? Do you like are you involved in planning? Like as a leader now, what's your
yeah,
day to day look like?
yeah, absolutely. I feel like planning, like the whole sprint planning and the big room planning was like the best thing. I love that. I love designing applications and getting into the nitty gritty of how certain things is going to behave. Now it's so I'm at a state level, right? So I
Okay.
work for the state of California, and we are very big on project planning. Everything has to go through rigorous processes, and we are also time bound as well. So we do a hybrid.
Okay.
The waterfall aspect is the whole project planning, but when it comes to actual implementation, we follow agile.
Okay, and then your team is like they're not attached to a development team like we would have at Rocket, where it's like every team has their own QA. It's more like you're supporting all of the projects happening.
Yeah, we do have dedicated quality engineers assigned to a project, but all of our engineers are well versed in all the different applications. And as an engineer, like, if there's a defect fix, or we just assign. So that's the other thing, is that now I have to do all of the resource management
Right.
versus whereas managers were not even there. Like when we're doing the sprint planning, it was just us. All the different roles: dev, QA, product manager, product owner, data analyst, and all of that. But now it's like when new projects come in, like CRs come in, I have to assign it based on the resource uh, uh, capacity that
Right.
the team has. So that's very different because I personally like when the team is involved and when team is really in there reviewing the stories and looking at each of the stories, and someone is telling us, the product owner tells us the story, right? Real
Yeah.
story of what it's about. And then we go in there and we validate, are the requirements really um, legit, right, or defined or refined, for instance. And we would ask questions based on how is the impact, in existing features and things like that. But so not so much. We do have sprint plannings, but it's not so in depth.
How are you guys using AI day to day? Is it something that came from like the top down, or like you have to use it? Are you doing it yourself in your team? Like, how is AI impacting your role or your team?
Yeah, it's first of all, I should say that AI is not fully open to the state government. We do have recently we have a process where if you are using a tool that even has AI into it, it needs to go through a rigorous venting process. We need to find out what it's doing, how it's going to use our content or data, especially, and how our staff is going to integrate or rather use it. Because remember, we had some issues with Rocket Mortgage where we couldn't copy our code and tell
Yeah.
the AI to, hey, validate this. So very similar approach with state, and even more. There's no one in my OTI, rather my IT department, that can use Copilot except for me.
Wow.
And I'm using it mainly for playwright automation, to help me write more complex functions and whatnot. But also I use it for formatting content. Um,
Documentation you talked about a little bit.
exactly.
With AI, Copilot, these other tools probably for documentation, do you feel like it's gonna replace your job, or do you feel like you're like supercharged with it? Like, what's your take on this whole like AI is coming for our jobs?
I think people are just, I don't know, it's overreacting. I feel like it's just a tool. Like when computers came out, oh, you lose your job because the computers are gonna do everything. I think it's a similar kind of situation at the moment. I feel like AI is just tools, right?
Yeah.
There's so many different tools that will be coming out that will make your life a lot easier. And case in point, whereas in Rocket Mortgage, I remember when I was struggling to, 'cause I have ideas. I want to do this and this and that, but I don't know how to write the code, the complex code that's needed to be able to do that.
Hmm.
So now I have Copilot as my you know super elite coder that can validate. I mean, not you need to know coding. Obviously, it's not like it's going to spit out something that you can just copy and put it in your framework and it is going to work. No, you need to know how to manipulate that further and make it work within your framework or your line of code or block of code or whatever you're doing. So that's really like, I think you used that word the other day, vibing. I am totally vibing with Copilot, and it's incredible how efficient it makes you and how powerful it makes you. Um, and because like I was struggling on certain things, and if you know how to interact with Copilot, like the whole prompt engineering, if you know your prompts and you know how to decipher what it provides and narrowing it down and down and down, it makes your life a lot easier. And I feel like it's gonna get better and better. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I feel like back in the day, even like back in the day, 5 years ago, we had to search Google through, hey, what do I want to do here? How does this work? And then you'd probably have like 5 or 6 tabs open because you keep doing that. That was a skill. Like that was a skill that people had to learn of like, how do I search for only my problem to get something relevant? With
That's right.
AI, hopefully it's giving back, relevant stuff kind of as easy as possible. But I'm curious, like, and maybe this is it. Like, are there any other skills that you are like actively trying to get better at, like with AI or without AI, like in your role today?
Um, Getting better at. I feel like so there's another thing that I was researching recently is you heard of Jira, right?
Yeah,
We use Jira as our story creation.
sure.
We write a lot of our requirements in there, and it's got acceptance criteria and a description of what the story is talking about, right? So there is a tool that takes those acceptance criteria and generates test cases for you.
Nice.
And I feel like that's a game changer. It's a game changer because not only can a manual tester go in and see these legit test cases that the AI is creating, but also it's ensuring coverage. All the different combinations of test scenarios, test cases, and um, various things that it'll automatically create for you. And I feel like that is fantastic. Like 5 minutes, it takes 3 to 5 minutes to generate a list of test cases that you can validate now. Is do I have full coverage? And you just take that and you execute it or you automate it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's a game changer. And I feel like what I want to improve on is knowing all of the AI tools that are available for quality engineering and how they manipulate your own data. Like, okay, so for instance, I'm going to be using this add-on in Jira, right? How do I know what it's doing to my content?
all right.
Like because it's a tool that it's reading. Is it just being contained within Jira, or is it taking a copy of all of my content, uploading it to some third party server, storing it, all of that stuff there, and then spitting out something and posting it into my Jira instance, right? So that's a big no-no. Like we can't have that happening.
Right.
Uh, as far as I'm sure this any company won't allow you to do that, right? So those are the kind of things that I'm kind of reluctant, and it's for good reasons, I suppose. We don't want to have proprietary or requirements or any kind of personal information, especially.
At the state
Uh,
level, yeah.
right, and I work um, for an agency that has a lot of client data
Right.
that we protect very, very. You know, it's like we have a big security team as well that make sure that nothing goes wrong with that.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah, I
makes
mean,
sense.
yeah, that's what I'm kind of wanting to learn is like what are the tools that are available there, and I feel like if the companies out there that are producing these AI tools, be honest, right? Be honest and be creative and get to the things that we want to solve, but also honest as in what are you doing with my data?
Yeah.
Like let me know, you know. And if you want everyone to be using that data, I think if we need to figure out a way to keep all of that in the same instance as the company's infrastructure, not uploading anything like that or doing rogue sort of things.
Yeah, no, that makes 100% sense. I think there's a lot of missing links there between like what they say they're doing, what they're actually doing. I just read a study on when you query ChatGPT or when you query Grok or Claude, how much of your data is being sent to like the government, where it's like just logging the fact that hey, this person searched for this. It's
Yeah.
very interesting because there's obviously surveillance happening. around all of these products, and just to make sure nothing crazy is happening. But for a company or even like a state government, like making sure that my data is not being leaked out or compromised in any way is super important. Yeah. What do you wish that more people outside of this field knew about quality? Like if you had to explain it to a family member or a new team member or someone who's not in tech, what do you wish that more people realized about quality?
Especially how much we do, like what quality engineers really do, and how rigorous testing we do. I mean, it takes a long time to really polish and shine an application to where it's productive too, right?
Hmm.
Where you're not running into defects all the time, or it's not designed in a way where it's just obnoxious or cumbersome to use. User experience is big, usability is big, and I'm all of the experience that I have with software engineering, I literally apply that towards all my daily life. And everything I do has to be, not has to be, but it needs to have standards, right?
Yeah.
Standards of doing certain things, cooking, I don't know, I've goats, I've chickens, I've gardens at the house, and all of those require certain ways of doing things. I just don't like to just go get by.
Yeah.
That's not my way of living. I apply my quality engineering skills to everything. Um,
So hoping that more people or understanding that more people should understand that standards are a thing.
yeah. And I feel like if everyone followed like some level of testing or standards in applying their skill set, I feel like everyone's gonna be a lot better. Just
Yeah.
thinking out of the box, and or have a good routine, or thinking beforehand. Like just think, stop and think, what are all the questions I need to ask? I remember when we used to have planning sessions, you would be like, Jason, this is the time, ask all the questions.
I wanted to reserve it, man, because it was something that most people, especially some of our QAs, didn't feel like they could speak up. They were super shy, and it was like, I know Jason's not, so I can call on Jason and be like, hey, here we go. Poke some holes in this.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I felt like that led to a lot of great conversations,
Oh, yeah.
and additional requirements that needed to be fulfilled, because a lot of times I felt like if you don't ask the right questions and we in the middle of implementation, we find a gap, a big, huge missing gap. That's expensive,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And then
And
everybody up the chain gets upset that this wasn't caught
yeah,
during a planning session. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Those ripples make waves, 100%.
Yeah, right. And that's when we started learning about like what was my function, what was product owner's function, and we kind of all helped each other out, right? And I know like the team that I was in, at some point we got to be like a well-oiled machine, and we were just churning out iteration after iteration so fast, and with high quality work. And I really felt like we could have done like a lot of great things. Even not only just even chatbot, we could have ventured out into some other AI applications and whatnot if we stayed. So first of all, I want to touch bases with
Yeah.
the like our collaboration and the way Rocket really started for me. And it is really truly the first company that I truly enjoyed working for. Not only what they provided in a compensation and benefits, but also the people, right? The Just from the interview, just from the start of it, I wasn't even expecting a call from the recruiter, because I got in touch basis with someone from LinkedIn, just like out of the blue, and and I guess my resume was passed over to a couple of groups, couple of interviews went into it. Then your guys' recruiter contacted me, and we had a talk, and then uh, we we scheduled a call, and actually, so everything was, with Anil back then, with
Yep.
as our manager and our team leader. And we scheduled a call, and I had no idea that there you get Rocket Mortgage is going to fly me over to and give me a hotel, and that experience was just fantastic. Even though it was winter time, it was snowing. I think that the night that I stayed at that hotel, I looked out of the window. I couldn't sleep because of the time zone, and I looked out of the window. It was just white,
Yeah.
just like blizzarding snow. And I'm an islander, and I'm not too acquainted with the cold as much. But in any case, I had my in the morning, fresh and ready to go, put my suit on, walked on the snow with my dress shoes, slipping and sliding into the our interview. And the reason I bring this up is because everything was just fantastic. And Rocket even provided me like a gift basket just
Oh
when I
wow.
entered into the hotel. Like, hey, I had the mugs. I still use the mug, the coffee mug that I have.
That's awesome. I didn't even get a gift basket. What the heck?
And then the interview process. It's the first company, like I mean, I've worked in Silicon Valley for years, right? 20 plus years. And every interview process that I've been to, there's like each person wants to spend 45 minutes to an hour repeating the same questions over and over again. And I loved that how organized Rocket was, especially you guys. Like, we were, I don't know, 6 7 people in that interview room. And everyone was asking questions, but everyone was also listening to the answers that I was providing. um, and I just loved the way you guys just asked that questions, and it was very non-aggressive, like no ego involved, just to truly wanting to know me and wanting to really make me part of the team. And I love that, and then that really enticed me to, because I could have gotten a job here, could have made a bunch of more money, but I loved what Rocket was providing, especially you guys. I know you were like one of the best ones, and Chris, when the way you approached the questions and spoke about it. Um, and then I know after I left, I guess you guys had a talk, and then you called me back again. Oh, we forgot some questions, so I think that was really great. And then afterwards, once I was done with the interview, just to close, they gave me a tour of Detroit. And I that was my first time being in Detroit. And we went around, the person who's gonna drop me off took me for an hour in a tour of Detroit downtown, and it was fantastic. You
Yeah,
know,
that's a big part that I think a lot of people miss out when they look at like Detroit, right? Is the fact that like downtown is beautiful and Rocket puts so much effort into making sure that all the bedrock buildings are nice, that it's clean downtown, that it's like inviting, and then they're super proud to show people, hey, you're out of town? Let's walk around, let's drive around.
yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
I love that, man. And it was, it's in Rocket inside, that the waterfall and just entering that building was fantastic too. I'm like, wow, I mean, I feel privileged to be here.
Yeah,
um,
and we got to work on some really privileged stuff. Like our team was kind of spun out of like, a hack week where we got to work on some stuff that wasn't a business priority, but we showed them like, hey, no, this is a business priority. We should be investing in this AI before all that ChatGPT LLM stuff. And we
that's
finally got the funds to do it, and then I think that's when I think I remember interviewing you. You had this line in the interview talking about hacking and slashing your way through the quality. Do you remember that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
It's the gaming world. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge gamer myself. I know we
Same.
played some games together as well. I think that's where it came from. But yeah, and chat, like the whole chat bot experience when you guys were kind of telling me about what the project is going to be. And that really attracted me to the project as well, because I wanted to do something different. I had all the experience with UI testing and back end API testing and whatnot. So I had experience in that. I mean, bulk of that was also integrated part of that chatbot testing, but I wanted something different. Like how do you? Because it was so brand new, even to the market.
Hmm.
I was like searching to figure out how do you even test a chatbot.
Yeah.
There was nothing. I remember Bodium
Yeah.
bot. Like when we were trying to look into it further, and we found out that we could build something very similar in house.
Hmm.
Our framework with and the way you guys constructed, or the infrastructure that you provided an architect to be able to test in that manner. And I think that was a huge help in ensuring quality, going forward. And
Yeah.
we had such a large regression suite once we figured out how to validate our. I mean, I know it wasn't a true chat, like a AI chatbot, because everything was kind of learned, all our utterances and whatnot. But it was a great experience to not only figure out how to test it, but also all the different tools that we got to experience, like IBM Assistant, for
Yeah.
instance, and that being so sensitive to um, um, changes, and it really helped when we ran the regressions.
It was a lot of fun going through that process of learning and building with you. Like that was fantastic, honestly. Um,
Absolutely, and it
yeah.
was it was also like a growing thing between the developers. Like a lot of us were new, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have experience in the past, especially working with quality engineers. We were more of in a startup mode.
Yeah.
Like when I joined, it was just a startup mode. Like you said, we want to just push stuff out, experiment. Does it even work?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
uh, and just going back and forth, dev and QA, and the whole. The best part was us collaborating together. Like we were all there, sitting next to each other, and I know we did some late nights too. The late night
Yeah.
deployments. Um, but that whole experience, the ups and downs, and because we're all so passionate. I felt like we were all passionate. Like we thought that our ideas, and each person's ideas was permanent. It was a sad ending for me because I loved that. I loved the team. I loved being with you guys. I felt like it was the best team I ever had, that I worked with. Not only the team, but also the company.
Yeah.
Uh, in those days, man, it was great. Just in all the functions that we used to have.
Yeah.
And Rocket Mortgage was like the one company that I felt like truly wanted their employees to be happy, and wanted them to succeed. I know at the end there we had so many reorganizations and restructures that kind of spoiled things. When I joined, where we didn't had all these other platform, uh, it was shoot, I forgot his name. Uh, uh, our rocket science or rocket.
Dan
Um,
Jones was the VP at the
yeah,
time.
yeah, the Dan Jones. I mean, his vision and the way we were executing back when I joined, I feel like we just stayed with that. I,
Yeah.
I don't know why we had to.
Fantastic leader. Absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Such a kind person,
Yeah.
and the way he spoke was just so smart, intelligent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's really fun looking back at those memories and kind of remembering the interactions we had, the people that were there, and the product we were building. And that kind of leads me to another question I wanted to ask you, Jason, is like doing a lot of this remembering and bringing back some of these memories. How do you want to be remembered?
Mm. I don't know. I feel like I care about what I'm doing, right? I care about the people that I interact with. And I feel like I'm a balanced person who wants to like I when I do something, I put in 100% of my effort, my passion. Um, and that's I mean, like I just want to be enjoyed as a great coworker or great person that wants to be around. Like, hey, call me up. And like, are you starting a company? Call Jason up. Let him run the quality, like something like that. Like you guys, reached
Yeah,
out to me and I felt like I feel special that hey, you remember me, you
for
know.
sure.
And I remember when you guys used to talk to others, when we were together as a team. Oh, we remember about so and so, like I want to be remembered like that. People talk about me in a good way.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, there's ups and downs, like I was so passionate about quality. Sometimes I get blinded by it, but eventually, you learn how the team wants to build certain things, and then you get integrated into it. But when you come in first, you have fresh set of eyes. You want to do everything.
yeah,
Hey, you do this, do that. From your experience, and but everyone's so new.
yeah,
You have to learn how to do it. But yeah, I mean, I want to be remembered as a quality guy who has a passion to make sure that the user base, the customers are happy with what we're producing. At the end of the day, that's what really matters, is that are we really implementing something that is going to be used by millions of people to solve their issues or solve their problems, and in a way that they find it friendly and usable and fast and performant, like I click on one button and my problem is solved, that kind
yeah,
of thing. Intuitive design, right? That's a big one for me. It's intuitive design nowadays. Like I want to look at something, that's where that ask me. I look at everything as a like always testing of quality or whatnot, but I look at it more from an intuitive design. Is this product designed in a way that I look at it and I know how to interact with it?
yeah,
You know, even like gaming, like when I love doing alpha test or beta test. Actually, there's a new game called Monsters and Memories. You'll love that. Um, like my buddy and I were playing that, and the login screen comes in, and I'm clicking around and figuring out all the different things, and I go into a screen by just clicking on the campfire. I'm like, what? How did you do that? So those as a quality engineer, you need want to explore and try to figure out what the application is. And I feel like um I learned to become a subject expert, SME for a particular application
hmm,
by using it, and then at the same time now be able to design it in a way that our users and clients are going to benefit from it,
yeah.
into yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's beautiful, honestly. That was a long conversation. I feel like we could go for hours talking about things in the past, things in the future, things in the present. But I just want to thank you for your time, Jason. Like this was fantastic. I'm sure we will talk very soon in the future. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Jake. Thank you. Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.